S.A.S. Rise of the Black Swan was so bad. Oh, what a bad movie it was. But before I get into my review of this movie, we'll call it, consider this your spoiler warning. So before I get into everything, I've never written so many notes for a movie. And normally when I do that, it's because it's super bad and there's a lot of stuff wrong with it. But before I get into my nitpicking, if you will, of this movie, on paper, this movie should work, right? You got Andy Serkins in this movie. You have Ruby Rose, which give or take, some people don't like her, some people do. You got Hannah John Kamen that plays Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know, I already mentioned Claw from Black Panther. You got Sir Tom Williamson. I don't know if he's a sir, but he's played how many iconic bad guys, and he kind of does a little bit in the beginning. He kind of handles that bad guy role really good in the beginning. So I can't really fault him. He plays the same character that he's played in so many, and it looks good, right? Like it's a contender. You know, it's like an NBA team, right? You see it on paper and you're like, yeah, that's a playoff contender. But oh my God, was I wrong? This movie was just so bad. It's based on a novel that I've never read, and maybe reading the novel will make this movie a lot better. If you have, let me know in the comments if that's the case. But this whole thing was just bad from the beginning. I mean, it was a bad script to begin with. It was so weak, so convoluted, so messy. And just because you can make a movie doesn't mean you should make a movie. And I think this movie is one of those examples where I get what they were trying to go for, the big government and impeding and mass genocide, all in the name of profit. But I've seen better movies do it in a non convoluted, in a non-fake way. This whole thing was just bad. The movie was poorly shot as far as like how they edited. The editing was horrible. There was a scene, right, where our hero is underneath a bullet train, basically, and the guy is looking from the outside in. But then in the next shot, when our hero takes the one of the villains down, he's underneath the train. When did that happen? Why did he go under? Why did he give up his advantage to then start looking from the inside, from the bottom out? It made no sense. And it's like, wait, what? How is this? And the whole movie's like that. It's not just one moment. They're all like that. The fight scenes, the way I don't know what they were going for. Again, the editing was just so bad. And again, poorly shot. The way the camera angles were, like they were trying to go for this cinematic feel, and it just didn't work. The bad guys or the villains in this movie are like some kind of terrorist group, but they are like beyond geniuses, right? And I get, you have to have a worthy adversary for the movie to make sense or to just be entertaining. But when you make the villains that much smarter than the government, it's ridiculously fantastical. And they had an out for everything, even though they're basically doing it by the wind because their plan goes, to shit. But it's like, oh yeah, our plan didn't work out to the way we thought of, but we thought about that, and we have contingencies for all of this stuff. The dialogue was sloppy at best with this movie. The pacing was horrible. It had moments of good action, but then it would, slow down. It would speed up. It would slow down, and not in a good way. It's like you could understand if it gradually picks up, maybe starts off big, and then tailors off. But no, this whole thing was just all over the place. I don't know who the director was, or how they went about doing and shooting this movie. It was just so bad. And I know that should be the theme of my review, is this movie's bad. There were so many bad plot devices to be able to move this story along, and far-fetched. Not even like a little, some stuff, some it's movies, right? Some stuff should be far fetched just for you to be like, oh my god, the ow factor, the wow factor, if you may. But this one didn't. It was just too far fetched where it didn't make sense. Some of the falls, some of the explosions, and how he was not getting hurt. Not only our heroes, but even the villains. It's like a wannabe, Mission Impossible or a wannabe Rock kind of a movie where no matter what happens, he just comes off, unscathed, and it just did a very, very bad job of it. It was horribly acted, and I know the names that I mentioned in the beginning, they did their best job, and actually their acting was admirable. But our hero, which was played by Sam, I can't pronounce his last name, but and forgive me for butchering it, Hugan or something. He played Tom, basically, Dr. Sophie Hart's boyfriend. His acting was so horrible. I don't know who he is. I've never seen him act, but the whole thing with him, and not only him, some of the other co-stars was just bad. Tom Hopper's performance in here, which was kind of his best friend, and Double Cross, which is a horrible double cross, one of the worst that I've seen. And just everyone else, the female that plays Zeta, it's just bad. It was just bad acting. This is probably the dumbest action movie I have seen to date. And I don't give out a lot of bad ratings, as far as very, very low ratings, but I'll get to my rating for this movie. But this was the dumbest action movie ever that I've seen. And the fight scene at the end with Ruby Rose, it's just so unbelievable. She's such a small woman, and I'm not saying that small woman couldn't take out like 190-pound man, but she was doing it with such ease that it's like, oh, come on. I guess she's trying to be an action star, but it just doesn't work. At least not in this movie, but maybe in some other roles. It was just the whole thing was just bad. But yeah, that's just, I could keep on going and just bashing on this movie, and I don't take any pride or enjoying and shitting on someone's artistic value or output. If you've seen my channel, I'm all about the artistic freedoms. I'm all about supporting artists, no matter if it's a big movie, blockbuster movie, or a small indie movie. But this was bad. My rating for this movie, you'll probably be surprised. You're like, he's gonna give this shit a straight F, and I didn't, just because an F means it's like hot garbage. And maybe there's a crowd for this. Maybe there's an overseas crowd that I'm missing. Maybe the people that read the novel. And so I'm giving it that. That's some points where I did enjoy it. There was a couple of parts where I found it fascinating and entertaining, but not much that I could go like, oh yeah, you know what, this I'm gonna give it a C or something. But this movie was a D- for me, and very close to getting an F, just because everything about this was just bad. And why was it 2 hours long? Oh, come on. You guys could have condensed this and at least made it an hour and a half, and it would have turned out probably a little bit better. But 2 hours, yo, oh my god. But anyways, I'm gonna end this here. Again, it's just a bash session over this movie, but I'm gonna call it here. Those are my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, so let me know what you thought about this movie. And like always, that's a wrap.